one thing they have created, and I don't know if they did this on purpose, now they've created a new bond between Bill Belichick and Robert Kraft. Those guys were fighting. I don't know if you heard about it. They were fighting since Kraft moved on and told the world that he moved on. First, it was a mutual parting of the ways. Then Kraft said he fired him. And so they've been fighting since then. But Robert Kraft has been rebuffed by the Hall of Fame. So is Bill Belichick. They got something in common. Maybe they can talk about this and kind of smooth over their differences.
Unless Kraft gets in. Unless he gets in. He can still get in.
Then there's no coming back. If he gets in and Belichick doesn't, now it's a problem.
My guess would be
for those two.
Absolutely. Here's my guess. The process, I think maybe only one or two out of those five is getting in, given that you vote for three. I mean, like if it was down to me, if my ballot for those five, Kraft, Belichick, Ken Anderson, L.C. Greenwood, and Roger Craig, I probably would go Kraft, Belichick, Greenwood. I think that's what I would do. Because, Greenwood, he's not already in. Like, everybody else from that Steelers team's in. How's L.C. Greenwood not in? I'd have to, we turn everything into numbers to justify. And we can always find, this is the thing. Anytime somebody starts giving me this number-based analysis, it's like, yeah, but you know what? If you work just as hard on another premise, you'd have just as convincing numbers. Like, we can find numbers to support anything. For me, it's just a visceral thing. If you think the numbers, a guy, and this is a good test. This is a good test. Right. This is a good test. For a seniors candidate, if your first reaction is, I thought that guy was already in, that's your guy who should be in.
Yeah, by that standard, I think I would say, along with you, it would be Greenwood / Roger Craig, because I was a little surprised that Craig's on it. So, both of those guys, I look at Roger Craig and say, oh, well, that's surprising that he's in this position. I personally don't think Ken Anderson's a Hall of Famer, but very good, but not Hall of Fame good. And then, it would be that third spot would be between Greenwood and Craig, and I probably would give the edge to Greenwood. But
Ken
you're right.
Anderson is a compelling.
Numbers aren't going to tell you the story, Mike. Right. Especially when you're talking about players from the 70s and say quarterbacks from the 70s. And the way we look at quarterbacks now and the way we looked at quarterbacks then, completely different. Like Terry Bradshaw, 4 titles, but look at Bradshaw's touchdown. He had 2 or 3 more touchdown passes and interceptions. Those guys were constantly pushing the ball down the field. Nobody was completing 70% of their passes. They were all in the 50s and 60s because they just kept taking shots, and it was just a different game. It wasn't as managed as it was now. There were very few wide receiver screens. So all these things that are part of the game now weren't staples in 70s football for these quarterbacks and their easy completion. So if you just look at the numbers, you'll say, hey, this guy wasn't that good. They were. You just have to look at the context.
Ken Anderson was kind of the AFC's version of Archie Manning in the 70s, who had into the 80s, they had that Super Bowl year. He was the NFL MVP in 1981, the year they made it to the Super Bowl and lost to the 49ers. But that was kind of like his – it was weird. It was just weird. He'd been around for a decade by then, which in those days, that was a long time to play quarterback in the NFL. But the Bengals teams weren't good. So he was one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL at a time when the Bengals were one of the worst teams. It's kind of hard to punch through to Canton that way. You got 1 Super Bowl appearance, 4-time Pro Bowler, 1-time first-team AP All-Pro. Hard to get into the Hall of Fame with those credentials. And so, yeah, for me, it would have been Kraft, Belichick, and Greenwood. And apparently it wasn't those 3 for enough people because Belichick not in. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.